Alright, I mean, hopefully this is working. We're going to go over match day one, and then, oh, this is the wrong page. But match day one, and then Arsenal's fixtures, because I'm an Arsenal fan. And then we'll go over the entire fixture list for the Premier League. Obviously, time's not decided yet, apart from match day one. But yeah, hopefully my voice is working. And then we're just going to sit through and see what's what. I've seen the first few weeks. And I've seen some of Arsenal's fixtures, but not all of them. Yeah, so my voice is working, that's good. So yeah, the fixtures got announced. Obviously, the order's very important. Sometimes you can get some tough games consecutively. Sometimes you could avoid that, having more spaced out. Sometimes, you want to get the big games out of the way. That's what I'd prefer, to get big games out of the way, but... let's see. So on match day one, Burnley play Manchester City on Friday night. Not what I expected. I expected Luton Town to be playing on Friday night. That's quite predictable, I felt, but that didn't happen. On Saturday, lunchtime kickoff, you got Arsenal v Nottingham Forest. Then you got a 3 o'clock Bournemouth against West Ham, Brighton against Luton. So Luton's first game is away at Brighton. Pretty tough start. Everton versus Fulham. Sheffield United versus Crystal Palace. Then in the evening kickoff on Saturday, you got Newcastle versus Aston Villa. On Sunday, the Super Sunday, you got Brentford v Spurs and Chelsea v Liverpool. Chelsea v Liverpool is a pretty damn massive game, especially on match day one. Jeez, that could set the tone for either team's season. On Monday night as well, you got Man United v Wolves. So, I can't even speak properly. Man United v Wolves. So, it's quite the fixture list. I'm intrigued to see... how it happens. Hopefully my team kick off with a victory. So when I read through these, I'm going to also factor in the dates for the Champions League and Carabao Cup. I can't check the FA Cup. I tried to find it. There's no list yet, obviously. I mean, the FA Cup starts soon, but like for the big teams, it starts in January. So I can't really find a proper schedule for it. But there are official dates for the Carabao Champions League. Obviously, that's important as well because they will be in between certain games. So I'm going to go over Arsenal's fixtures first, and then I will go over the rest of the fixture list. I'm not going to factor in these just yet, but I will when I look at the main season. So yeah, this is Arsenal's just pre-season. So we got these teams in pre-season. Looks quite fun, I guess. So you got Nottingham Forest first. Everything else is not decided in terms of the time. So kickoff time, it says Saturday 3 o'clock, Saturday 3 o'clock. That will change for a lot of teams. They haven't decided the times yet. That's just the default time. It's just match day one they've decided the official times for. Even there, they haven't rearranged it to 12:30 yet on the Arsenal website, which is slacking in my opinion. So we got Palace away after Forest at home. Palace away won't be easy. Last year we had them in the first game of the season away and we won. But different season and new beginnings. Fulham, we played Fulham early at the start of last season as well, at home at the Emirates. So that's an interesting similarity there. So we got Fulham at home. So that rounds off the first month. Then you got Man United at home, Everton away, and Spurs at home. That is quite the run. That is quite the run. And at some point here, there'll be Champions League. You know what? I will factor it in. 25th. 19th and 20th. Okay, so Man United, Everton, Champions League, Spurs, Carabao Cup, Bournemouth away. That's quite the September. That's quite the September. So we'll see how that goes. All tough league games. On top of that, other competitions brought in as well. That should be quite intriguing as well. With the first Champions League game back in 6 years, and it's just before the Spurs game. That's quite something. But if we win these games, then we win these big games. We win them early. I just think that would be quite good if we can do that. We need to obviously get momentum and actually do it. Saying things is one thing. You got to actually go and perform. Hopefully we do that because we could put ourselves in quite a good position. But again, it's a tough start. But if you want to win the title, hopefully last season is not a one-off. If it's not a one-off, if you want to challenge for the title, we need a stronger squad first. But if we want to do it, you got to think about having a very good start. So after that fixture, we got Manchester City in October 7th as well. Okay. So after Bournemouth, You got Champions League, then Manchester City. And then we got Chelsea away. That is something. That is something. That is quite something. Match day 3, 24th. Okay, so then after Chelsea away, we've got Champions League. Then we've got Sheffield United at home. Then if we go through in the Carabao Cup, we'll have a fourth round game right after Sheffield United. And then 7, 8, 28, 29, 12, 13. So we'll have Newcastle away, then Champions League, then Burnley at home, then Brentford away, then Champions League. Oh, this might be a long season, bro. Then Wolves at home. It does not get easy, does it? It does not get easy. Then you got the Champions League here, I'm pretty sure, right? No, the Champions League 12th and 13th. Sorry, no. You got Luton Town. You got the Champions League after Villa away. So Luton away, you never know. It's a small stadium. Maybe they could be good there. Could be tough to beat. Villa away will be very tough. They'll be much better this season, and they were great last season as well. And then you got the Champions League here. Where does the Carabao Cup come in? If we go through, of course. That's an if. You got Brighton at home, and then potentially Carabao Cup in here. That's if we go through. If. And then Anfield, Liverpool away on December 23rd. 2 days before Christmas Day. Now that's, I mean, it could be one day before Christmas Day. It could be Christmas Eve, because they might move it. That's quite something. And then you got West Ham at home on Boxing Day. We had West Ham at home on Boxing Day last season as well. So that's an interesting coincidence. Then we got Fulham away. So yeah, by then the Champions League will be done, and then obviously last 16 comes along eventually if we do go through, of course. Again, this is if we go through. So yeah, in this gap in between, the FA Cup third round will be on, of course. Sorry about the noise, by the way. My other computer's uploading videos. Potential FA, I mean not potential, definite FA Cup third round game, but just before the Palace home game. Then we got Forest away. At some point as well, just before this game, I think there'll be a Carabao Cup semi-final first leg, and the second leg will be in between that, and then there'll be a cup game just before this game, assuming we go through, of course. But FA Cup fourth round will be just before this Tuesday, I'm fairly certain. Then you got Liverpool at home at Anfield, early February, and then West Ham away, and then Champions League could be either here or here if we go through, of course. Obviously, they split the last 16 games into 4 match weeks. Burnley away, never an easy game really, even without Dyche. Newcastle at home, that's going to be pretty damn huge. Win out the second legs of 5th, 6th, 12th and 13th. So I can get rid of this. So potentially, obviously if we went to the Carabao Cup final, will be this weekend, so the Newcastle game will be postponed. Then you got Sheffield United away, Brentford at home, and then somewhere around the Chelsea Man City games. We play Man City and Chelsea consecutively twice this season. That's quite annoying. And there'll be potential Champions League games around these fixtures as well. So that's another problem. And Brentford ain't easy either. Sheffield United away won't be easy, I'm fairly certain. But yeah, Chelsea home and City away is going to be a tough time. I've lost track on where the FA Cup could be. Judging by these two being 2 weeks apart, that either means FA Cup or international break. So it could be one of the two. But FA Cup somewhere, somewhere around 5th round, somewhere around this period, and then like quarterfinal will be here or something. I don't know. And then if 9th and 10th, 16th and 17th. if we went through in the Champions League, we'd play Luton at home, Brighton away, tough game, and we would play Champions League quarterfinal here. Again, if we go through, we play Champions League quarterfinal here, and then Aston Villa at home, then the second leg, then Wolves away, and then Spurs away. That's already a tough fixture list. If you were in the Champions League as well, that would be adding to the issue. Actually, I just realised I'm going to go over it again when I go over the overall fixture list. And then again, if I want to say if we go through, semis would be 31st, 7th, and 8th. So there'd be a Champions League semi-final here. Again, if we go through after Spurs, and then Bournemouth, and then the second leg here, and then Old Trafford, and then Everton, and obviously there'll be a Cup final and Champions League final after this. So yeah, overall, playing City and Chelsea twice is not ideal. Liverpool's in a good place, I feel, although it's in between two tough away games. Brighton away is never easy. Brighton, Wolves and Spurs away in the same month is not going to be easy. And then Old Trafford, Old Trafford is a game where we don't win there in the league. We haven't won in the league since... Well, actually, we won there 2 years ago. But that was our one win there in the league since 2006. That Aubameyang penalty. So, yeah. But we don't normally play them at the end of the season at Old Trafford, so that should be quite interesting. Who knows what could be in the balance with one game left after that. So, yeah. And Everton at home on the final day. I've seen this story before. Everton at home on final day for Arsenal has been a common fixture. It's happened so many times. This is why I feel like sometimes it's not random. Like, there's no way it's random because there's so many coincidences, to be honest with you. Playing Chelsea Man City twice as well, that's happened before in previous seasons. It's not a one-off thing. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm not completely I'm not like, oh, this is dreadful. There are some dreadful parts to it. But again, the Premier League is never easy anyway. Not to make excuses. We did bottle it last year, but I do hope last year's not a one-off, and hopefully we make statements in the window, and hopefully we prove that last year was not a one-off, and hopefully we can challenge for the title again. Hopefully, that would be nice. But yeah, I hope to go to games. Obviously now there's a ballot system, so you got to enter a ballot just to get a ticket, which will be quite interesting, I feel. But yeah, I look forward to seeing how it all goes down. Right, need to pay attention to key dates here. 25th September. 20th and 25th. Okay. So, match day 2, you got Brentford Spurs, you got Chelsea Liverpool. Oh, that's match day 1, sorry. Right, moving on. But then again, let's just skim through match day 1 again, just to refresh. Burnley City, Arsenal Forest, Bournemouth West Ham, Brighton Luton, Everton Fulham, Sheffield United Crystal Palace, Newcastle Aston Villa, Brentford Spurs, Chelsea Liverpool, Man United Wolves. Then you got Aston Villa v Everton, Palace v Arsenal, Fulham v Brentford, Liverpool Bournemouth, Luton Town versus Burnley, two promoted sides playing each other early. Man City v Newcastle, that's an early time to play each other. Tottenham Man United in the same fixture list, in the same match day, sorry. Nottingham Forest Sheffield United, West Ham v Chelsea, Wolves v Brighton. Then you got end of August, Arsenal Fulham, Bournemouth Spurs, Brentford Palace, Brighton West Ham, Burnley Aston Villa, Chelsea Luton Town, Everton Wolves, Man United Nottingham Forest, Newcastle Liverpool. Okay, Newcastle got quite an interesting start, and Sheffield United Manchester City. So that should be interesting. Then you got in September, Arsenal Man United, Brentford Bournemouth, Brighton Newcastle, Burnley Spurs, Chelsea Nottingham Forest, Crystal Palace Wolves, Liverpool Aston Villa, Luton West Ham, Man City Fulham, Sheffield United Everton. Then you got Aston Villa Crystal Palace, Bournemouth Chelsea, Everton Arsenal, Fulham, Luton, Man United, Brighton, Newcastle, Brentford, Nottingham Forest, Burnley, Spurs, Sheffield United, West Ham, Man City, Wolves, Liverpool. Some interesting games. But probably the weakest match day so far in terms of spectacle, I guess. But you never know. Premier League's unpredictable. You never know when the best game's going to be. Although, like, I remember recently there was a Premier League poll thing about best game of the season, and the best game wasn't there. The best game of last season was Spurs Liverpool 4-3 at Anfield, but that wasn't even on the list. So it's disgraceful. Anyway, yeah. So this is where this comes in. 25th and 1920. So just before this game, there's Champions League here. There's Champions League here, and there's Carabao Cup here, which is important to note. But after the Champions League match day 1, you got Arsenal. Obviously, Champions League as well. It's also Europa League and Conference League, all in the same week. So that's to be reminded of as well, because 8 teams Europe this season. Arsenal Champions League, Man United Champions League, Liverpool Europa League, Man City Champions League, Aston Villa Conference League, and then who are the other 3? Wait. Newcastle Champions League, and who else is in Europa? Have I already forgotten, bro? I've already forgotten. Right, yeah. Man City, Arsenal, Man United, Newcastle, Champions League, Liverpool, Europa League. That's what I was forgetting. I was forgetting Brighton. Sorry. My bad. My bad. And West Ham. That's who I forgot. West Ham won the Conference League, so they qualified. Right, that's who I was forgetting. Okay, so obviously Champions League, Europa League, along with Brighton and West Ham, Aston Villa Conference League. There we go. There's 8 teams in the Champions in Europe, 7 teams plus top 7 plus West Ham. Enough of that confusion. But yeah, 8 teams will be playing in Europe before this game. Arsenal will be playing Spurs after that. Brentford, Everton, Brighton, Bournemouth, Burnley, Man United, Chelsea, Aston Villa, Crystal Palace, Fulham, Liverpool, West Ham, Luton Town against Wolves, Man City, Nottingham Forest, Sheffield United, Newcastle. Then you got Carabao Cup here. Aston Villa v Brighton, Bournemouth v Arsenal, Everton v Luton, Fulham v Chelsea, rivalry of course, derby. Man United, Crystal Palace, Newcastle, Burnley, Forest, Brentford, Spurs, Liverpool, big game, very big game. West Ham, Sheffield United, and Wolves, Man City. On to October. When's the next one? October 30th. Wow. Right, so right after the fixtures I just mentioned, there'll be Champions League, Europa League, Conference League right here. Again, 8 of the 20 teams involved, almost half of the league involved in that. Arsenal, Man City is right after that. Huge game. Brighton, Liverpool. That's a big game as well. Burnley, Chelsea. Crystal Palace, Forest. Everton, Bournemouth. Fulham, Sheffield United. Luton Town against Spurs. Could be interesting as well. Man United, Brentford, West Ham, Newcastle, and Wolves, Aston Villa. Again, very interesting. Here I assume there's an international break. That would make a lot of sense, I think. So there'll be Champions League here, and there'll be Carabao Cup here. So that has to be noted as well. But before the next Champions League match, there you got Villa, West Ham, Bournemouth, Wolves, Brentford, Burnley, Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, Everton. You see, it's not coincidence. They planned these fixtures, I'm telling you. Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, Everton, 2 derbies. Man City, Brighton, Newcastle, Crystal Palace, Forest, Luton, Sheffield United, Man United, and Spurs, Fulham. Then you got Carabao Cup. Then you got Arsenal, Sheffield United, Villa, Luton, Bournemouth, Burnley, Brighton, Fulham, Chelsea, Brentford, Palace, Spurs, Liverpool, Forest, Man United, Man City. Right, so the Manchester derby, mark it down guys, end of October. West Ham v Everton, and Wolves versus Newcastle. On to November. Right, so that's not till December 18th, so that's good. I almost closed that. November 7th and 8th, cool. So just before European fixtures, Champions League, Europa League, Conference League will be right here. Just before that, you'll have Brentford, West Ham, Burnley, Crystal Palace, Everton, Brighton, Fulham, Man United, Luton, Liverpool, Man City, Bournemouth, Newcastle, Arsenal, huge in November, Forest, Villa, Sheffield United, Wolves, and Spurs v Chelsea. Huge in November. Then you got the European fixtures, that will be right here. Arsenal, Burnley, Villa, Fulham, Bournemouth, Newcastle, Brighton, Sheffield United, Chelsea, Man City, big game, Palace, Everton, Liverpool, Brentford, Man United, Luton, West Ham, Forest, Wolves, Spurs. I don't know if Chelsea this year, obviously they got Pochettino in, which is a good choice. He's good at building a team, because that team needs to be built again. But they've spent so much, they've thrown money everywhere. Will they gel together by then? Hopefully they do, because I wouldn't mind seeing them beat Man City. But even though I hate Chelsea as well, but surely Chelsea can't be as bad as last season, right? Surely. Surely they'll be better this season, surely. Just surely. But yeah, again, interesting fixtures there. Then, just before, there'll be Champions League right here. Champions Europa League, Conference League, just after this match day. Brentford, Arsenal, Burnley, West Ham, Everton, Man United, Fulham, Wolves, Luton, Crystal Palace, Man City, Liverpool, and Newcastle, Chelsea are both at the end of November. Also Spurs, Aston Villa, that could be a big one. Nottingham Forest, Brighton, and Sheffield United v Bournemouth in December. 12th and 13th. Before that, in the 12th and 13th, there'll be Champions League, but we'll get there. We've got Arsenal, Wolves, Bournemouth, Aston Villa, Brentford, Luton, Burnley, Sheffield United, Chelsea, Brighton, Liverpool, Fulham, Man City, Spurs in December. Should be interesting, because Spurs always give them trouble. Newcastle, Man United. Again, another huge game there. Forest, Everton, and West Ham v Palace. A London derby there, of course. Villa v Man City. It was 12th and 13th. And this one was 18th. Okay. Excuse me. I'm like my classic AC Milan shirt. Got 7 on the sleeve. I'm not a Milan fan, by the way. I just have a shirt. Went to the San Siro last year. As I was saying, you got Villa, Man City on in start of December. Then you got Brighton, Brentford, Everton, Newcastle, Fulham, Forest, Luton, Arsenal on a midweek night. Should be quite interesting. Sheffield United, Liverpool, Spurs, West Ham. Could be quite good. They've had some great games in the past. Wolves v Burnley and Palace, Bournemouth. I guess this might be confirmed then, because they got Wednesday here. Man United v Chelsea is also happening in this particular match day. Then a few days later on the weekend, you got Villa, Arsenal. You got Brighton, Burnley. You got Palace, Liverpool, Everton, Chelsea, Fulham, West Ham, a derby, Luton, Man City, Man United, Bournemouth, Sheffield United, Brentford, Spurs, Newcastle, Wolves, Forest, Arsenal, Brighton. Obviously, that's the next fixture list, but right here, there'll be Champions League, Europa League, Conference League for those that are participating. And then after that, you got Arsenal, Brighton, Bournemouth, Luton, Brentford, Villa, Burnley, Everton, Chelsea, Sheffield United, Liverpool, Man United. That's a big game. I was waiting for that one. I'm just like, when are they playing? December 16th. So it's a little while you got to wait before you play them. But that's a nice Christmas treat for neutrals, I'm sure. Man City v Palace, Newcastle, Fulham, Forest v Spurs, West Ham v Wolves. I must have missed the part where Man City played Brentford, because Brentford were the only team to beat Man City twice last year, which is quite crazy when you think about it. They beat them home and away. So in between here, there'd be Carabao Cup for those teams that are not eliminated. Then you got Aston Villa, Sheffield United, Palace, Brighton, Fulham, Burnley, Liverpool, Arsenal. Big game at Anfield just before Christmas, like I mentioned earlier actually. Luton, Newcastle, Man City, Brentford. Man City, Brentford is right there. It's right there. Forest, Bournemouth, Spurs, Everton, West Ham, Man United, and Wolves v Chelsea. And then you move on to Boxing Day. Arsenal, West Ham, deja vu, just like last year on Boxing Day at the Emirates. Bournemouth v Fulham, Brentford, Wolves, Brighton, Spurs, Burnley, Liverpool, Chelsea, Palace, Everton, Man City, Man United, Villa, Newcastle, Nottingham Forest, Sheffield United, Luton. And then just before New Year's, you got Villa, Burnley, Palace Brentford, Fulham Arsenal, London Derby, Liverpool Newcastle, big game, Luton Chelsea, you never know what can happen in that one, Man City Sheffield United, Forest Man United, again you never know, that's the Mark Goldbridge Derby, Spurs v Bournemouth, West Ham Brighton, and Wolves Everton. Then you move on to the new year, we're about halfway through. There will be FA Cup and Carabao Cup fixtures. For those, obviously Carabao Cup, if you're still in it, there'll be 4 teams left by then. FA Cup third round, obviously everyone's in it, and then you get back over here. When is the next Carabao Cup date? 23rd, yeah, okay, February 25th. We can remember that. Okay, that's fine. So Premier League in January in the new year, 2024. Arsenal, Palace, Bournemouth, Liverpool, Brentford, Forest, Brighton, Wolves, Burnley, Luton, Chelsea, Fulham, Derby, Everton, Villa, could be interesting. Man United, Spurs, big game. Newcastle, Man City, huge game. Sheffield United, West Ham. And obviously Carabao Cup and FA Cup for those that are not eliminated. Aston Villa, Newcastle, Fulham, Everton, Luton, Brighton, Forest, Arsenal, a game that we lost last year. Hopefully it's better this time round. Spurs, Brentford, West Ham, Bournemouth. There's a lot of London teams this year, I just realised. It's quite a lot of London. I love it. West Ham, Bournemouth, Wolves, Man United, Palace, Sheffield United, and you got Liverpool, Chelsea, Man City, Burnley lodged into that as well. Into February. We're almost there. Arsenal, Liverpool, start of February. Bournemouth, Forest, Brentford, Man City, Brighton, Palace, Burnley, Fulham, Chelsea, Wolves, Everton, Spurs. Could be quite interesting, that one. Brentford, Man City as well, that's another one. Obviously also Liverpool too. Man United, West Ham, Newcastle, Luton, and Sheffield United, Aston Villa. Aston Villa, Man United. That's going to be huge. Probably. Chelsea away at Palace, Fulham, Bournemouth, Liverpool, Burnley, Luton, Sheffield United, Man City, Everton. Man City drew that game last year, so it should be quite interesting maybe. Forest, Newcastle, Spurs, Brighton, West Ham, Arsenal. So we play West Ham home and away pretty quickly within each other. Wolves versus Brentford. And then for those participating, normally around Valentine's Day, that's when the Champions League returns to the knockouts. For those not related, for the Champions League, Europa League, and Conference League, they'll be playing. Some of them will be playing in this week, and others in this midweek. And then, okay, we'll get to there. But in between those, we've got Brentford, Liverpool, Burnley, Arsenal, Everton, Palace, Fulham, Villa, Luton, Man United. I'm intrigued to see how Luton do at home, especially. Like, it could be key to them staying up if they do stay up. I'm intrigued to see how they play against the big team at home. I'm very excited to see how that works out. Not against Arsenal though. Hopefully we can beat them. Man City, Chelsea. Big game, of course. Newcastle, Bournemouth, Forest, West Ham, Sheffield United, Brighton, and Spurs v Wolves. Arsenal, Newcastle at the end of the month. Obviously, this is Carabao Cup final weekend. So if the two teams in the Premier League, obviously they'll both play the final during this weekend and they're going to be postponed. But assuming they're not postponed for whatever reason. Arsenal, Newcastle, Villa, Forest, Bournemouth, Man City, Brighton, Everton, Chelsea, Spurs. So you got two big potential season-defining games there. Palace, Burnley. Obviously, I'm looking at the top teams mainly. I don't know who I think will go down yet, so that's why I'm not really looking at, this is a relegation scrap. I don't know yet. It's hard to predict, I think, this for next season, down the bottom. You never really know. I mean, Leicester went down this year. Who saw that one coming at the start of the season? As I was saying, Palace, Burnley, Liverpool, Luton, Man United, Fulham, West Ham, Brentford, and Wolves v Sheffield United. In March, you got Brentford v Chelsea, Burnley, Bournemouth, Everton, West Ham, Fulham, Brighton. Hang on, I think there's something on my stream. Yeah, no, we're good. Luton, Aston Villa, Manchester Derby. Okay, early March. Could be season-defining for both teams. Newcastle, Wolves, Forest, Liverpool, Sheffield United, Arsenal, Spurs v Palace. So, yeah, quite a few tough games for big teams, that's for sure. A lot could ride on this match day, that's for sure. And then the Champions League would return in the quarterfinals. So anyone still participating in the Champions League, Europa League, Conference League would be playing right here. Would be in the second leg. I'm fairly sure it'd be in the second leg, so it could be here as well. But yeah, Arsenal, Brentford happens in that period. Villa, Spurs, Bournemouth, Sheffield United, Brighton, Forest, Chelsea, Newcastle, Palace, Luton, Liverpool, Man City, huge game, happens in March. Man United, Everton, West Ham, Burnley, and Wolves v Fulham. Then you get European fixtures again. Arsenal, Chelsea, Brighton, Man City, Burnley, Brentford, Palace, Newcastle, Everton, Liverpool, Merseyside Derby and London Derby. Again, not a coincidence. Another London Derby, Fulham, Spurs, Luton, Forest, Man United, Sheffield United, West Ham, Aston Villa, Wolves v Bournemouth. And there's a big break here, so international break for FA Cup. I've lost track of the FA Cup now, so we'll just stop talking about that. Yeah, Villa, Wolves, Bournemouth, Everton, Brentford, Man United, Chelsea, Burnley, Liverpool, Brighton, Man City, Arsenal. This is a big match day. Geez, March is a huge season-defining month for probably the whole league. Newcastle, West Ham, Forest, Palace, Sheffield United, Fulham, and Spurs v Luton. I'm trying to count London teams now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 London teams. It's unreal. It really is unreal. We run the streets. Apart from the title-winning part of it. April should be quite interesting. For those still in the Champions League, they would be playing soon. I will get to that. At the start of April, we got Arsenal v Luton, midweek fixtures, of course. Bournemouth, Palace, Brentford, Brighton, Burnley, Wolves, Forest, Fulham, and West Ham v Spurs. Should be an interesting London derby there. Chelsea, Man United in the same match day. Newcastle, Everton, Liverpool, Sheffield United, and Man City v Aston Villa. A few days later, Aston Villa v Brentford, Brighton v Arsenal, Crystal Palace v Man City, Everton, Burnley, Fulham, Newcastle, Luton, Bournemouth, Man United, Liverpool. Huge. Sheffield United v Chelsea, Spurs, Forest, and Wolves v West Ham. And then I think right there would be Champions League, Europa League, Conference League. For those who are not eliminated yet, they'll be playing here. And then you've got Arsenal, Aston Villa, Bournemouth, Man United, Brentford, Sheffield United, Burnley, Brighton, Chelsea, Everton, Liverpool, Crystal Palace, Man City, Luton, Newcastle, Spurs, huge game, Forest v Wolves, and West Ham v Fulham. Then that would be followed by the quarter-final second legs of the Champions League, Europa League, and Conference League. Then you got Villa v Bournemouth, Brighton, Chelsea, Palace, West Ham, Everton, Forest, Fulham, Liverpool, Luton, Brentford. Interesting derby. Man United, Newcastle United, could be a huge game that. Sheffield United, Burnley, Spurs, Man City, and Wolves v Arsenal. Spurs, Man City on that game, on that weekend as well. That could make things very spicy. Aston Villa v Chelsea, Bournemouth, Brighton, Everton, Brentford, Fulham, Palace, Man United, Burnley, Newcastle, Sheffield United, Forest, Man City, Spurs, Arsenal. So North London derby right at the end of April. West Ham, Liverpool, huge game for both teams. Wolves v Luton as well to cap off April, going into the last month. But just after these fixtures will be the semi-final first legs of the Champions League, Europa League and Conference League for those in the league that are not yet eliminated. Into May, right after those European games, you've got Arsenal, Bournemouth, Brentford, Fulham, Brighton, Villa, Burnley, Newcastle, Chelsea, West Ham, Derby, of course, Palace, Man United, Liverpool, Spurs. That could be quite... It was game of the season last year for me, so it could be quite crazy again. Luton, Everton, Man City, Wolves, Sheffield United, Forest, followed by the second legs of the Champions League semi-finals, and also Europa League and Conference League semi-finals as well. And then you get into the last couple league fixtures. You've got Villa, Liverpool, Bournemouth, Brentford, Everton, Sheffield United. Who knows what could be at stake at this point? Fulham, Man City, Man United, Arsenal at Old Trafford, Newcastle, Brighton, Forest, Chelsea, Spurs, Burnley, West Ham, Luton, and Wolves, Crystal Palace. I think that's a pretty solid match day. And then you got the final match day: Arsenal, Everton at the Emirates, Brentford, Newcastle, Brighton, Man United, Burnley, Forest, Chelsea, Bournemouth, Palace, Villa, Liverpool, Wolves, Luton, Fulham, Man City, West Ham, and Sheffield United v Spurs. Okay. Man United got the hardest out of the big teams. Man United got the hardest last game. They got Brighton away. That's pretty tough. Newcastle got Brentford away as well. That could be quite interesting. But I think that's quite a solid final match day, actually. Just not. I feel like it's missing a huge spectacle of a game. But you know, again, who knows what could be at stake by then for any of the 20 teams. But that was the fixture list. I obviously factored in other competitions. Obviously looked at the key dates of those competitions just to like factor in how that would affect the season. Because obviously more games means your players get more tired. Or the opposite. Man City played all the games this season. They didn't exactly get tired, did they? So, yeah. I think they kind of got tired. But, you know, they kept going. They're winners, of course. They got a strong squad. But, yeah, I'm intrigued by this fixture list. I'm not disappointed by Arsenal's one. I think, apart from a couple of abysmal parts, I can't complain too much. But also, the Champions League draws yet to be made, so who knows what sort of group we could have in that. We could have a really good team. We could play Barcelona or Bayern Munich in the group stages, so there's a lot that could go wrong for us, but this is not a bad draw. Like, I'm definitely going to take it. Like, I'm definitely... I wouldn't say I'm completely happy, but I definitely take it. But in general, it's not a bad fixture list. They've placed big games in interesting parts of the season. Some right towards the end. So who knows what could happen. But I really hope my team does well. And hopefully last season when we challenged wasn't a one-off. I do hope bottling's a one-off though. That would be... it's not a one-off really for us. But in terms of this era, hopefully it's a one-off. But hopefully we get Rice as well. I think it fits in our team really well. I just don't know if he'll spend 110 million. But we shall see. We shall see. So, yeah, that was me looking through the Premier League fixture list and also factoring in Champions League dates and Carabao Cup dates. I look forward to the season. Bring it on, I say. Still 2 months away, but I shall be waiting. But while I'm waiting, I've still got F1 and AFL, so I'm still going to be occupied. And the Women's World Cup is soon as well, so I can be occupied until we restart our official season. But yeah, Forest at home is not the worst way to start, that's for sure. Starting at home, ending at home. This is your boy Davidoff. Please like, share, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Have a good day, and goodbye.